For 15 years, I found out about Christmas gatherings through Instagram, a cascade of smiling faces, twinkling lights, and laughter that never included me. I would scroll past the images, frozen in a mixture of longing and irritation, remembering how small slights, forgotten birthdays, casual dismissals had accumulated into a quiet resentment I rarely acknowledged aloud. This year was different. My grandmother had passed, leaving me the beach house she had always adored, the same one they used for Christmas. I walked its sun-washed floors, familiar yet unclaimed until now, and felt a calm sense of inevitability. The house smelled faintly of salt and old cedar. For the first time, I considered that my boundaries might actually matter. I called the sheriff quietly, confirming a routine check to ensure my property rights were respected if anyone challenged them. No dramatics, no threats, just certainty. I reviewed the documents left by my grandmother. Everything was legal, everything enforceable. My heart pounded only once, a brief spike of nervousness before settling into a slow, disciplined rhythm. When the day arrived, I waited by the front door, the surf murmuring behind me and a cup of coffee warming my hands. One by one, 23 relatives appeared, laughing, hugging, chattering. They assumed the usual routine, that I would have been conveniently forgotten, that I would somehow accommodate them without a word. The sheriff stood a few steps behind me, silent but unmistakable. The shift in the room was immediate. Conversations faltered, eyes widened. Some cousins froze mid-step, realizing the assumptions they had carried for over a decade were no longer valid. "Welcome," I said, voice calm, measured. "This is my home now. Please respect it." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't elaborate. The sheriff's presence carried the weight of finality. No theatrics, just authority made visible. Silence followed. A few attempted light conversation, testing the boundaries. I nodded politely, maintaining eye contact, letting the tension hang like salt in the air. Some relatives shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. Others whispered apologies, hesitant and incomplete. One aunt tried to reclaim casual dominance with humor, but it fell flat. The authority in the room was quiet, undeniable, and it was mine. Inside, I felt a slow, almost imperceptible shift. 15 years of exclusion, 15 years of internalized doubt were not erased, but they were reframed. I could feel my own value settling back into its proper place, not because they had acknowledged it, but because I had. I allowed them to move through the house, into the spaces they expected to occupy, but under terms I set, respectful, measured, contained. The beach house belonged to me now. The lights, the decorations, the echo of holiday cheer, everything had shifted in tone. I was no longer a passive observer of their rituals. I was the gatekeeper. Hours passed. Laughter resumed. Quieter now, careful. Small gestures of reconciliation appeared. A cousin offering to help hang ornaments. A hesitant apology from an uncle. Some slipped away early, perhaps unwilling or unable to process the shift. I didn't pursue them. My satisfaction didn't require universal approval. It was enough that boundaries had been respected, that authority had been acknowledged, and that for the first time I had witnessed the family entering my space on my terms. When the last guest departed, I stepped onto the porch. The beach stretched endlessly before me, waves brushing the sand in steady rhythm. The holiday lights of the house behind me glowed softly in the early evening gloom. I sipped my coffee slowly, tasting the salt in the air and the faint bitterness of chocolate from the holiday treats left in the kitchen. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't celebrate, but there was calm. There was clarity. I had reclaimed 15 years of subtle dismissal, not with shouting or spectacle, but with quiet authority and deliberate restraint. For the first time in memory, I felt the weight of being recognized,
Not for my wealth, not for my inheritance, not even for my capability, but for my right to exist on my own terms. That right, quietly enforced, was more than enough. The family's neglect would not vanish. Their patterns would likely continue in other forms. But within these walls this year, I had the last word, and I carried that into the night with a steady, quiet pride.